In 1960, the British made Jaramogi Odinga an offer most politicians would kill for. Jomo Kenyatta was being held in a colonial prison. The British wanted to move on. They offered Jaramogi the prime ministership. He said no. There will be no independence without Kenyatta. That single sentence tells you everything about who Jaramogi was. Jaramogi was born around 1911 in Bondo on the shores of Lake Victoria. He pushed hard against a colonial world that offered Africans very little. He attended Maseno School, then trained as a teacher at Makerere University College in Kampala, the institution that shaped a generation of African leaders. He returned home as a teacher, but his ambitions were broader than any classroom. In 1947, he founded the Luo Thrift and Trading Corporation, economic self-determination before independence was even on the table. By 1947, he had entered politics. By the mid-1950s, he was the Legislative Council representing Central Nyanza. A Pan-Africanist who counted Nyerere, Nkrumah, Nasser, and Nehru as personal friends. A man who secured Soviet and Chinese scholarships for hundreds of Kenyan students when the British refused to educate them. When Kenya finally gained independence in 1963, Kenyatta became president. Jaramogi became his vice president. Citizens saw them as brothers, but that brotherhood would not survive the Cold War. Kenyatta aligned Kenya with Western capitalism, private land, British investment, a new African elite replacing the old white one. Jaramogi believed independence meant something different, land and wealth for ordinary Kenyans, the people who actually bled for freedom. Washington and London quietly painted Jaramogi as a Soviet agent. His duties as vice president were stripped one by one as punishment. He resigned. He formed the Kenya People's Union, Kenya's first real opposition party. Kenyatta banned it in 1969. Jaramogi was arrested, shipped to the remote Hole detention camp on the Tana River and held for 2 years. The man who refused the presidency so Kenyatta could go free was detained by Kenyatta. He had already written his autobiography. He called it Not Yet Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom. The title said everything. After Kenyatta died in 1978, Kenya's second president, Daniel Arap Moi, briefly rehabilitated him. It lasted 3 years. In 1981, Jaramogi called Kenyatta a land grabber at a public rally. Moi sacked him that same week. In 1982, Jaramogi tried to register a new opposition party. Moi's response? He rushed a bill through parliament, making Kenya a one-party state by law. One old man with a party application scared a sitting president into rewriting the constitution. Kenya restored multi-party democracy in 1992. Jaramogi won a parliamentary seat. A year later, January 20th, 1994, he was dead at 82, still fighting. He was called a communist, dissident, tribalist, troubleshooter. He was none of those things. He was a man who gave up power twice because he believed freedom meant something real. His name lives on in a university, a hospital, a road in Kisumu. His son Raila Odinga carried the torch for 3 more decades. But the deepest irony of Jaramogi's life is this: the man most responsible for Kenyatta becoming president spent the rest of his life being punished by the same president for asking, what did independence actually change for ordinary Kenya?